Mafia bloodlines pass through generations from New York to Kansas City, from Chicago to Las Vegas. Organized crime has deep roots across America. But nowhere is more synonymous with the mafia than the East Coast, where 5 families once thrived. Now only 3 remain, but their influence echoes through the generations. Here's how mafia bloodlines are passed down today. Today's mafia families can trace their origins back to the early 20th century, when Sicilian and Italian immigrants brought with them the traditions of Cosa Nostra. Over time, they built criminal empires that stretched far beyond their neighborhoods. These days, however, there's no official initiation or ceremony. Nowadays, it's all about blood thicker than water. You see, being a mafia boss isn't like running a Fortune 500 company. It's a family affair, literally. The mafia's most powerful positions are reserved for family members, particularly the boss's sons. They don't need to prove themselves by climbing the corporate ladder or showing exceptional talent. Blood ties are enough to earn them a seat at the table. Take Bonanno crime family boss Joseph Massino. When he was arrested in 2004 and turned informant, his son Nicholas took over the family. No voting, no debate, just a simple handover. If you think that's crazy, wait till you hear about how Vito Genovese's son, also named Vito, became boss after his father's arrest in 1957. That was despite the younger Genovese not even being a member of the commission, which is like the mafia's board of directors. To make things even more interesting, this Vito had another claim to fame. He was the nephew of former Lucchese crime family boss Tommy Lucchese, making him a double-blooded mafia heir. This practice of passing the mantle down to family members isn't unique to the mafia. It's actually common in many other criminal organizations. For example, the Mexican Sinaloa cartel is currently run by El Mayo Zambada's son. El Mayo Jr. and the Japanese Yakuza often have family members taking over their businesses. In fact, Japan's anti-gang law specifically addresses this issue, allowing authorities to seize the assets of family members involved in organized crime. But why is this so common? Well, it makes sense if you think about it. When you're part of an exclusive club with tons of illegal activities going on, you don't want outsiders snooping around or turning you into the cops. Family members are the least likely to spill the beans, making them the perfect candidates to keep secrets safe. Now, you might be wondering what happens to the family business when there's no one to pass it down to. Say a mafia boss doesn't have any kids or grandkids, in case the bloodline ends. Turns out there's a solution for that too. Underboss takes over first. If he's unavailable or unwilling, then the capo regime steps in. And if neither of them is up for the job, well, the commission steps in to choose a replacement. But let me tell you, they don't just pick anyone. The new boss must meet some pretty strict requirements. First and foremost, he's got to be a made man, meaning he's been through the gang's initiation process. He also needs to be respected by his fellow gangsters and have a good reputation in the community. And if that wasn't enough, he still needs to be related to the previous boss, either by blood or marriage. So basically, if you're not born into the mafia, you won't be running it anytime soon. Now, you may be thinking the mafia is all about violence and intimidation, but trust me, it's a lot more complex than that. While they do have their fair share of rough-and-tumble guys, they've evolved over the years. These days, the mafia is more involved in white-collar crimes like fraud and money laundering. And they've learned to keep a low profile to avoid attracting too much attention from the feds. But don't be fooled by their fancy suits and briefcases, because underneath it all, they're still running the same old rackets. Take loan sharking, for instance. It's still a thing, but instead of cash loans, these guys are now lending money to online gambling sites. They're also getting into medical billing scams, labor, racketeering, and even tax fraud. You'd be surprised how much money there is in it. It's 2008. Well, the Genovese crime family alone made around $1 million a year from medical billing scams. And that's just one example. According to a 2017 report, the 5 mafia families are estimated to make around $6 billion a year, mostly from legitimate businesses. They own restaurants, construction companies, waste management facilities, you name it. But behind the scenes, they're still involved in illegal activities like drug trafficking, extortion, and even prostitution. And let's not forget about their involvement in the legal but shady world of union busting. The mafia has a long history of infiltrating unions and using their influence to get what they want. One of the most famous cases of union busting happened in the 1950s when the Teamsters Union was infiltrated by the Genovese crime family. The mobsters used violence and intimidation to take control of the union and make sure that union leaders looked the other way when it came to their illegal activities. And it wasn't just the Genovese family. All 5 of the major crime families were involved in union busting at some point, each controlling several unions and using them to further their criminal enterprises. But you might be wondering how much power the mafia really has these days. Are they still the big cheese, or are they just a shadow of their former selves? Well, to answer that question, we have to look at the structure of the American mafia. At the top of the pyramid, we have the Commission, which is made up of the 5 families and their bosses. They meet regularly to discuss important matters and make sure everyone's on the same page. But these days, they rarely get together in person. Instead, they communicate through intermediaries to keep things discreet. Below the Commission, we have the 5 families, each headed by a boss who's responsible for making sure everything runs smoothly under his watch. Underneath the boss is the Underboss, who's kind of like the no-to guy and takes over if the boss gets arrested or whacked. Then we have the consigliere, who acts as the boss's right-hand man and gives him advice on important decisions. Finally, there are the captains, who oversee a group of soldiers and make sure the day-to-day operations run smoothly. These days, the mafia is not as tightly knit as it used to be. Families rarely interact with each other unless it's to settle a score or divide up the profits from a big score. Each family sticks to their own territory and tries not to draw attention to themselves. So while the mafia is not as powerful as they once were, they're still a force to be reckoned with. They've adapted to the times and found new ways to make money without drawing too much attention to themselves. And let's face it, there's still something undeniably cool about a secret society operating in the shadows. Even though the mafia is not as active as they once were, they're still around and still making money. Thanks to their bloodline connections, the mafia families are still thriving. But they're doing it in a low-key way that wouldn't attract the attention of the cops. You see, they've learned from their mistakes and are determined not to end up behind bars for life. Let's hope it stays that way. And speaking of staying out of jail, don't forget to subscribe for more videos about the mafia and other criminal organizations. We've got plenty of content that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Just a quick tap or click, and you'll be the first to know when we release a new video. So what are you waiting for? Tap or click that subscribe button right now and join our growing community of crime enthusiasts. You won't regret it. Well, folks, that's a wrap on this video. But before you go, I need to tell you about a secret that's been buried for years, hidden away from prying eyes. It's a secret that could change everything you thought you knew about the mafia, and the only way to uncover it is by subscribing. Yep, I'm talking about more than just clicking that button. I'm talking about diving deep into the rabbit hole of organized crime. Trust me, you won't regret it. Subscribing is like joining the family, and you don't want to be left out. Don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. We've got plenty of content that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Yes. So what are you waiting for? Click that subscribe button right now and become part of our crew. You won't regret it.